back to the home of entertainment commentary. Mkamburi Google is my name.
Here we go.
Terry Podcast, brewing entertainment honey.
Believe in music.
This is, of course, the Podcast. Subscribe if you've not and hit the notifications so that you do not miss when I post and upload. And YouTube is actually harder than I thought. Anyway, so AKA came out during the weekend and he had a full, juicy, 1 hour long interview where he gave like 80%. Okay, let's say he gave 20% and then 80% was still a very gray area. Like, he was not really saying things as they're supposed to be said, but he was just like, I have to, maybe clarify a few things and get these things out of the way. So during that sit-down interview, AKA, first of all, did not refute, and I don't think he's been refuting the fact that was a very toxic. He even at some point referred to his relationship with Awan Anele as a volatile, passionate relationship, which I think this thing passionate, can we remove it and just put toxic?
Together. But I think passion goes both ways in this case. Disagreements that we had could be quite intense. And on that day when we were speaking, it was about a variety of issues in our relationship. Issues that I don't feel I really want to lay bare because Anele is not here to speak for herself. Anele is not here to give her side of the story. But what I can tell you is it was like any other relationship in which there were problems and issues and insecurities and...
AKA says, my wife, because he had already paid his bride price, was sick, and she was battling some depression issues, which I think he came into her life when she was already deep into the depression. Like, she was, that was a thing with her. And AKA says that, the thing with Anele is she used to be on and off her medication, and when he was asked, were you guys taking drugs together, he said, I would not want to get into that. I agree that I have personally taken drugs, but I cannot say the same for Anele because she's not here to speak for herself. Then other than that, AKA also said that this babe tried or attempted to take her own life not once, not twice. At some point, we were having an argument, and you can see that these arguments were actually the main trigger points in Nelly's life. Like, they would have those very awkward arguments, and then Nelly would be triggered and she'd be like, I'm not doing this thing with you anymore. Listen, I'm not doing this. And they would just set her off for one reason or the other.
And we said, very mean things to each other. And so I left the room, came back to the room because I had taken her phone. And obviously, we continued to argue. And then things took a turn for the worst when, we had gotten to a point in the argument where Anele had kind of threatened to kill herself, or to, jump off the balcony. She didn't say in those words, though. And I had called reception for security. And I kind of tried to remove myself from the situation again, and out of panic, I didn't want to be there or kind of feel that this was going to happen. I kind of wanted to remove myself from it, so I went to the bathroom. And when I came out of the bathroom, she wasn't in the room.
So
she wasn't in the room, and so then I look around the room and she's not there, and I go to the balcony and I look over the balcony and I look down to the street, and that's where she was.
And then it feels at some point he feels like Nelly's family right now want to sacrifice him, and they want him to take the fall for something that he probably inactively participated in, but he did not actively contribute towards. Like, do you understand? As in, he's like, yes, I agree that probably it was a very volatile, we used to argue, we used to have all these ups and downs, But I do not think I should be blamed for Nelly's suicidal thoughts, because she attempted to end her life not once, not twice. There's a time we were driving, we just had an argument, she tried to jump off a moving vehicle. The other time at the Hilton, she attempted to throw herself from that building. So it's like, damned if he did, damned if he don't. The only way I think AKA would have escaped this mess is the minute he noticed that this is a toxic environment. And I sort of feel like, you know what, toxicity sort of, they're like magnets. You guys are just attracted to each other's toxicity, such that when someone tells you, move out of this situation, it's not healthy for you, you don't know what to do, you don't know where to start, you don't even know how to even begin, being in a functional relationship with your said partner. So I think bottom line is he sort of expected maybe the lady's family would have his back during this very tricky situation. But by the look of things, they're like, we are blaming, maybe we are saying that this man is the one who introduced our daughter to those drugs, and those are the things that made our daughter unstable. But our daughter was not sickly, she did not have these suicidal thoughts, and AKA was like, I just felt like that was very, very wrong, because why don't you own up to the fact that Nelly was unstable mentally?
Something didn't feel right having his presence there, along with the father saying that this was not a suicide. The two together for me didn't equate.
And did you take that up then in your meeting with Anela's father the day after the funeral?
Yes, I did. I said, I don't understand. Why did you say that she didn't commit suicide? And his explanation to me was that he wants to preserve her memory. He can't have people in the media or social media talking about her that way, having her remembered that way as someone who was kind of depressive or suicidal. He can't, there was all these things are being said about his daughter, and at the time I agreed. It kind of made sense to me, like, okay, protect her memory at all costs and so forth. But in these last few weeks, it seems that that's not the case. It seems that as time goes on now, I'm going to seem to have to lay more, out there about the nature of our relationship, the nature of our differences, and ultimately the nature of her and me and the life we had together.
But how does that...
This was just a very dysfunctional space, and I think AKA knew it, Nelly knew it, everybody around them knew of it. Woo! It's a very tricky situation, very tricky story, and to be honest with you, if I'm being really fair, this feels like one of those situations where, regardless of what AKA would have done, it is damned if you do, damned if you don't, and the best way for him to have escaped this whole mess, I think, would have been him just subtracting himself from this equation. So subscribe if you've not, and see you again in the next brew, and let me know what you think in the comment section